Welcome back for another Blacksburg Buzz, all the way into episode 54, and it's just 2 weeks until our first kickoff of the season. Well, 15 days specifically, but close enough to 2 weeks. I mean, come on, this has got to be probably the most exciting time of the year. Football season is right on the horizon, and boy, are we expecting this Hokies team to be good. It's an easy schedule. It's a better team than we've had in previous years, and it looks like some things could really align for a great season. Making a push for that ACC championship. I think it is going to be a really fun year, and that's exactly what we're hoping for. It should be a fantastic one. I mean, talk about the first home game against Marshall. It's already completely sold out. The games are selling quick, and boy, is it an exciting time to be a Virginia Tech fan. It's an exciting time to be a football fan with games just a few days away. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. You're starting off with Vanderbilt over there right by Nashville, Marshall, Rutgers, Old Dominion. And then you get into some ACC play. I think it's going to be a good season, like I've said multiple times. But we've got a lot of exciting stuff outside of just the pure football aspect as well. Virginia Tech just dropped the effect games and the schedule for that this week. It's going to be a white effect against Rutgers on September 21st. Then the orange effect is against Boston College on October 17th. Maroon effect, Georgia Tech, October 26th. And the stripe effect against Clemson on November 9th. So all four of those should be fun effect games. I kind of like the schedule that they did here. They didn't mash the colors too much. It doesn't look like these teams are really going to be competing for those effect colors, which isn't something you want to see. You don't want to wear orange against Clemson. You don't want to wear a maroon burgundy color against Boston College, right? Those kind of mash. They don't mesh well at all, and you're probably going to have people for the other team wearing those colors. So I like what they did there. Of course, I'm not a huge fan of the white effect game. I just don't think it's what Virginia Tech does the best. But that one against Rutgers, it makes sense, with their red color scheme. I think white was probably a good color to go with. But before we get any further, let's talk about today's video sponsor. Once again, Bet Online. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason, NFL to college kicking off, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner take all $300,000 NFL survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. So with such an exciting time for Virginia Tech football, I figured with just a couple weeks left, I might as well share what I'm most excited for this upcoming season. And first things first, it's got to be seeing this team. Now, in a lot of aspects, it's pretty much the same team we saw last year, but at the same time, I think they're going to look a lot different. I spoke about it in a recent episode, some key portal additions. You've got a bunch of returners and a few guys returning back from injury that we were expecting to be pretty big parts of this VT team last season. You've got Nick Gallo coming back. You've got Ali Jennings coming back as well. Those are two guys that should play big roles in this offense. Obviously, Gallo was the main guy at tight end, and Jennings was expected to be that wide receiver one before he went down with injury. So having them back this year should be really fun. Help with the passing game a little bit. You've got another year of Kyron Drones in the offensive system, and I think things are going to look a lot better for this team with the schedule that I've said a couple times. It does look pretty easy. You've got some tough games on there, and obviously anything can happen. But I think this team should fare pretty well. I'm hoping for minimum 9 wins out of this team. 8, I'm kind of on the fence about anything less than that, and I don't think this is a successful season. But I definitely see potential for maybe even 10 plus. But 9 is really my sweet spot number. I want to see 9 out of this group and hopefully make a big push in the ACC, be right up there in the running for that ACC championship game. I think that's where Virginia Tech really needs to be to show that they're back and to show that, it's football time once again at VT, that they're ready to compete for some big games, get themselves up in the rankings, and, really make a splash in college football for the next couple years. In addition, first football season with the podcast. I can't wait to do a little bit more football coverage once the season really gets going. Bring on some more guests and talk about this team. There's going to be a lot to talk about, and with a game each week, I think there's going to be plenty to cover as well. It should be a really fun season and hopefully a lot of positives that I get to share with everyone. But getting up there in the press box, getting down on the field to take some photos, some videos, and getting out into town to do some videos as well. That should be very fun. And just talking to people, trying to see what's going on around campus. I can't wait to see how things look with a football team that should be really good this year. But covering the team more and sharing that with all of you from my perspective, I can't wait to do a little bit more about that. And of course, the thing I'm probably the most excited for this season, it's my first UVA home game as a Tech student. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. Already my 5th year of school, starting my graduate program this fall, and finally getting to see that home game against UVA that I've been waiting for. And boy, am I excited for this one. I think this team could really smack down on this Cavaliers team. We saw it last season towards the end of the year. You get right into that peak form, and the team was starting to come together, and they were really showing what they could do. And wow, did they give UVA a tough time over there in Charlottesville. I mean, that was quite the game to watch. Virginia Tech just ran away with it, and it was spectacular for Hokie fans. So I can't wait to see a UVA game at home and, really get to experience Lane Stadium in that rivalry game. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time as a student, and it's finally upon us. Now, shifting into a little bit more on some things that have happened with the team, we did see an incident occur at practice with a player swinging at one of the other ones. He eventually got tossed from the game. Not exactly something you want to see, but Keyshawn Burgos was tossed for swinging at Parker Clements. It's not something I'm particularly worried about, but definitely, something to keep your eye on, I would say. Any player swinging at another player could mean something big. In this case, I don't really think it's that big of an issue with, camp before the fall. Obviously, guys are getting tired. They're getting worn down. They're really getting put in tough spots and working really hard over the summer. It's really hot as well. You're going to see some tempers flare. And at the end of the day, it is football. That's something that's going to happen, and whether you like it or not, it's kind of a part of the game. You're going to get into it with guys a little bit, and I don't think this is as big of a deal as I've seen it been made of across Twitter and whatnot. I really don't think this is that big of a deal. I think we would have seen a lot more come of it and a lot more happen in the days following if it was really that big of an issue. So overall, that's one thing that I'm not all too particularly worried about. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. And another thing that happened is the Hokies went up to some of the rec fields that are, I believe, managed by Club Sports and Rec Sports. They're their facilities. And they did some turf practice up there in the heat this week, getting ready for Vanderbilt. I think that's very interesting, trying to do something a little bit different. I believe it was because it was more similar to what they'll be playing on at Vanderbilt and, trying to get a little bit more familiar with that playing surface, getting out there in the heat. Obviously, it's tough, but that's something that's going to happen a lot during the football season. You're going to be playing a noon game out there, middle of the day, the sun just glaring down on you. And turf gets hotter than grass does. Some people know that, some people don't know that, but turf gets significantly hotter than a grass field does in the sun. Something about the way it's like rubber and all the typically black rubber pellets that are in the turf as well. It gets very hot in the sun on an 80, 90-degree day. The turf can easily be 30 to 40 degrees hotter than the air temperature. And that can be really tough on guys. So getting acclimated to that, getting more accustomed to it, and being ready for some turf games this year, I really like that move there. Obviously, you've got to manage hydration and just managing guys in the heat. That can be tough. But as long as you're managing their health and safety effectively, you're keeping them hydrated, you're keeping them cool as necessary, I don't really see this as an issue. I actually think this is a good thing for this team. You get them ready for some of those tough games and, some of those really hot games, maybe Miami, just being in Miami, it's probably going to be pretty hot. If you're in Georgia, Georgia Tech, and you're in one of those day games, it is going to be toasty down there. So, some games you're going to have to be careful with in terms of the weather, and you put them in a tough environment like that, and I think that'll be really good for this team. So a couple of upcoming episodes that I wanted to mention that I think are going to be really fun to talk about is I just got to tour War Memorial and see the brand new renovations just today as a part of my graduate assistant position as the facilities graduate assistant at the field house, also known as the Bubble at Virginia Tech. If you see it up there by Chicken Hill, that big white sort of dome tent looking thing, I'll be working there for the next 2 years. So I got to tour War Memorial, see all the new renovations, and wow, it looks phenomenal. A friend of mine, Will Trent, did all the marketing stuff in there, and just it looks amazing, brand new, everything across the building. A great pool, great basketball courts. The gym section is massive. Some awesome, group fitness and F45, different studios and whatnot for, Pilates, personal training, yoga, everything you can imagine, and War Memorial has it. It really is a fantastic looking gym. I can't wait to use it some more this year, but I got my first workout in there and it was phenomenal. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Not necessarily one of the sports teams, but sort of sports related in that rec sports field. And I think it's just something people would like to know about. That building looks phenomenal. It's been many years in the making. It was closed before I even got to Tech in the fall of 2020. And just now, right ahead of the fall semester in 2024, they're finally getting it open. So this is something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, and something that a lot of people have put years of work into to make this happen. And I think a lot of people are really interested to see what it looks like, to hear about what people think and how it is after so long in the renovation process. It was a very big undertaking for Tech, and it took a lot longer than they expected, but they did a fantastic job on it. And that's something I wanted to cover. And then we're going to be doing a schedule deep dive, breaking down every game for VT's schedule this season, my predictions on the game, who I think some key contributors might be, and what the Hokies should probably look out for in each game in terms of that team, a little bit into their offense, into the group of guys that they'll probably be putting out on the field, and just highlighting each and every single game on a little bit of a deep dive. That video will probably be multiple parts. I would think at least 2, to split it up a little bit into some more manageable chunks. But we're going to be breaking down every game for Virginia Tech's upcoming football season with just a few days until kickoff. So make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot happening with VT football, with VT sports, with the new academic year starting, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'll be there to help you out and tell you everything I know and everything I can find and let you know about all the teams and what's going on around campus. So make sure you stay tuned for that.